You know what would be really cool? Using a Windows phone in 2021. So I got myself a Windows phone in 2021. So I was on eBay looking for a Windows phone. I came across a bunch of them, but I didn't want a cheap Windows phone. I wanted one that came out as a flagship device, and I came across this, the Nokia Lumia 950 XL. So let's start by talking about the design. This phone's mainly constructed out of plastic, so it definitely feels cheap, cheaper than some phones out nowadays, but it does have a removable plastic back, which means if the phone dies and I have an extra battery laying around, I can just switch it up right then and there. It also has expandable storage via a micro SD card, which I cannot say about my iPhone 12 Pro Max over here. On the front, I was greeted with these big, beautiful bezels that I don't really mind, even though I'm coming from an iPhone 12 Pro Max and using this phone, the Windows phone, the Nokia Lumia 950 XL does not feel outdated, and that's thanks to the design as well as the Windows UI itself. I'm like a big fan of the Windows UI, and yeah, this thing, the UI just feels super cool. Maybe I'm just tired of using Android or an iOS device, but I do remember even when I had an Android device, I would go and download a Windows launcher just so I can have that beautiful UI. The Windows UI is simple, it's elegant, smooth, it's fluid, it's timeless. Even in 2021, I'm still a big fan of the Windows UI. In terms of performance, it has a Snapdragon 810 chipset, octa-core CPU, Adreno 430 for graphics, 32 gigs of internal storage, and 3 gigs of RAM. Right now it might not sound like a lot, but at the time of this phone's release, back in 2015, it was pretty much a flagship device. And as of 2021, this phone still runs really well. Like when I'm navigating through the OS, this phone does not seem to slow down. It runs like a flagship device. Even apps, it can handle pretty much all the apps that I can download, and it runs it without any issues. The only app that I've seen slow down so far is the Maps app. It takes some time for it to get started, but once it's up and running, it does run that app too. So you guys already know there's not a lot of app support, so it's still the same right now. I did get an update, and with that update I was able to download some more games and a couple of other apps, but we still don't have YouTube, Instagram, all those apps. So yeah, not even gonna hope for it. But all the apps and games that I'm able to download on this phone does run them. I played a couple of games. This phone ran it like a champ. It didn't slow down or anything. So, this phone is definitely still usable in 2021, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into. Thought I'd put this out there. This phone is capable of running Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, Skype, and even Netflix. Now for the battery life. For a phone that is 6 years old, it's got a great battery life. I can easily get this phone to last me a day. I switched my SIM card and used this phone for a couple of days, and I was comfortably able to make this phone last me through a day. That's probably also because I don't use it as much as my iPhone. But either way, this phone has a good battery life. Back then, Windows phones had a pretty big hype going for its cameras, and this one is no slouch either. It's got a 20 megapixel single camera on the back that can take 4K videos at 30 frames per second, and a 5 megapixel selfie camera that can take 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. For a phone as old as this, that is not bad at all. And the results, well, you can see for yourself. So here's what I got to say about this phone. If you don't care about social media and all those other apps, and you just want a phone that you can browse the web, take some photos and videos, and use it as a phone, this phone will do the job just fine. But for me, it just doesn't suit my lifestyle, and it can not be my daily driver, but I definitely enjoyed using this phone. So this right here was the Nokia Lumia 950 XL, a great phone with a beautiful UI. Windows Phone, you have a special place in my heart, but it's time to move on.